And just for the benefit of guests, we do record the meetings. We do also publish those recordings. So if you're here, you're here at your own risk. That your images and video will be captured for your greater glory or ignominy. No, actually, if you really actually did something horribly embarrassing and you wanted to make the evidence go away, we could arrange to make that happen. But in general, we do try and share the videos, both because people who want to get really good at speaking go back and review the video of their speeches and compare that to what they heard from the evaluator. Did I really say and ah 10,000 times? Well, if it's me, yes, but some other people, maybe not. Maybe you'll find good qualities that the evaluator forgot to mention, and you can be determined and excited to move on with your life and make everything wonderful. You're trying to turn yourself into a debonair person, Grammarian Carolina? Okay. It was added relatively late in the game, but I did put out a theme for the meeting and a word of the day. And I wanted to actually take a minute to explain both of those, because grace under pressure. This is an image from Garden and Gun about navigating life's calamities with perfect Southern poise. And it talks about the theme of our meeting, which is function and disaster, finish in style, which is the unofficial model of the Madeira School, where my daughter was fortunate to go on a scholarship at some point. And I think it's a good sentiment for any kind of presenter, anybody who organizes events, or even just Toastmasters meetings. Stuff does tend to go wrong, often at the last possible minute, often at the worst possible moment. And so you have to think about how to navigate through that and come out in style. And it was the word style that made me think of the word debonair. And the word debonair actually makes me think of this. The introduction of a charming man about town.
Where to go to? Why don't you go where fashion sits?
Young Frankenstein, right?
Indeed. All right. Well, we won't watch the whole thing. You perhaps can be more polished and debonair than that this evening. And debonair apparently is used primarily for men, but we can have some debonair women as well, I imagine. Let's see. That brings us to getting organized for our meeting. And I see that some other guests have come in, joined us late. You missed the grand self-introductions, but hopefully we'll get to talk to you along the way. And if you're willing to participate in our table topics impromptu speaking session, you may get drafted for that. I see Josh is nodding when I say yes, he would be willing. And Natesh, I can't tell because he's blurred at the moment, but he's working on it. My job as Toastmaster of the day is to run, well, the most organized meeting that I can, given that I am trying to function in disaster and finish in style. And so we did have some things that came together kind of at the last minute for this meeting, but we're actually in pretty good shape. We have a team lined up to make this meeting work. So Toastmaster of the day can be the cheerleader for the meeting, but he needs a team. And one of those team members is our timer. Dr. Andy Byrne, can you explain to how you will be performing the timer function this evening?
The timer has the specific role of helping the club stay on time and learn time management skills. There are three components to the meeting. One is prepared speeches, and unless it's an icebreaker, which is 4 to 6 minutes, the usual speech is 5 to 7 minutes. with the ability to have a 30-second grace at the end. The second component is the table topics or impromptu speaking. That time frame is 1 to 2 minutes. And lastly, the evaluations, the most important function of the club to help everybody grow and provide positive feedback. And those are a time bracket of 2 to 3 minutes. There are your time management skills. You'll see a green, yellow, and red in my background as we go from one thing to another as we time.
Okay, and Andy, could you use maybe the raise hand function to keep your video visible? That's kind of the simplest way we found to do it, I think.
Okay.
And let's see.
I just moved myself into the left corner.
Well, but that doesn't do it for everybody else. It only does it for you. So if you just
Okay.
use the little hand raise function, there's a more techie way of doing it, but that seems to be the simplest. All right, well, great. And we've got Dr. Byrne as timer. Our counter for this evening, my nemesis. Oh, Sonny, how could you do this to me? Sonny, can you explain why we have an counter and what the value of it is?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day, as a counter, the Wizard of Oz and ums and uhs, those pesky filler sounds and words when you're trying to think of something to say, I will be monitoring those sounds, and hopefully I will have a couple of tips of how you may be able to cut down those filler sounds, because when you can cut down on those, your speech can be more clear. Back to you.
Thank you, Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
Our grammarian this evening is Carolina Ramirez. Carolina.
Hello, everyone. My role as a grammarian is to highlight the good uses of English and maybe correct some bad uses of it. And give you the word of the day, that is debonair, confident, stylish, and charming, typically used in reference to a man. Strive to use the word of the day. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. I'm in no danger of being debonair, but I can spell the word. Our watcher today is Jim Barber.
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster and my fellow Toastmasters, I have two roles this evening, the watcher and the chat monitor. Both roles are possibly unique to online presenters. Certainly they only apply to online clubs. The chat monitor, this is kind of rough now, follow me, is the chat monitor monitors the chat. I will keep an eye on what's going by. I will alert our beloved Toastmaster in case there's anything that shows up in the chat that he should know about, just kind of frees him up from having to do that himself. And I will also give a report at the end of the meeting on anything that was particularly noticeable in the chat that people should record. As the watcher, I am the opposite of Carolina. I am the visual grammarian. I'm not caring of what you are talking about, how you talk good or not. I'm simply concerned with how you look on screen. And I will be reporting at the end of the meeting on how everybody did. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Very, very efficient. Actually, we have a couple of people who are doubling up on roles. Carolina introduced herself a moment as grammarian, but she's also down as our vote counter. Can you explain?
Yes, David. I will put a link in the chat, and you could vote for your favorite prepared speaker, or for your favorite impromptu speaker, or your favorite table topics speaker.
All right. Fantastic. And brief commercial. The voting tool that you'll be using there is a feature of the WordPress for Toastmasters software that I promote and that our club website runs on. So if you haven't seen that before and you think it's cool, you can reach out to me to find out how to get a hold of that.
It's cool and very easy to use.
Okay. All right.
To be honest.
One person's figured out how to use it. Other than me. Let us go to our speakers. We're going to do speakers. And then we're going to go to the impromptu speaking table topics portion of our meeting. And then we'll come back to evaluators at the end. So if you've been in meetings that are structured differently, well, that's just the way we do it here. Our first speaker for this evening is Graham Cairns. Now, we skipped over having a tip of the day. Originally, we had a tip of the day person signed up. That was Graham. But when we were short on speakers, Graham agreed to expand his tip of the day into a 5 to 7 minute speech. So I don't know too much about what we're going to be hearing, but I know we're going to be hearing about it in high quality and with a radio man's sonorous tones. Graham Cairns, everybody.
Is this 5 to 7 minutes?
5 to 7 minutes, yes, yes. I have extended it to 5 to 7 minutes, and the introduction, which went into the agenda quite late, says, in this technical presentation, Graham Cairns will discuss the use of microphones to enhance our presentation outcomes and will show us various options at various price points. So, with a speech entitled Microphones for Online Meetings, here I am. Toastmasters guests, well, our guests, I believe, are Toastmasters as well. Anyway, can I ask a question? Who here in their online meetings only uses essentially the microphone that is built into the webcam, either of your laptop or if you have a webcam on your PC? Couple of hands going up, and that's cool. And most of the time, that's perfectly acceptable. Who here has seen a presentation where somebody has been standing, for example, well back from the camera, and they sound like they're in this big echoey room because they're really far away from the microphone? You've seen it happen?
Yes.
The problem with webcam microphones is that they're designed to have you no further than an arm's length away from the camera. That's what they're designed for. They're designed so that you will sound okay sitting an arm's length away from your microphone and your camera, and that's cool. But when we're presenting online, and if we're only sitting, as most of us are here today, that's fine. But there are times when you want to be able to move away from the desktop. You want to be able to move away from the desk. You want to, for example, maybe you want to give a presentation where you are showing a product and you want to show the audience what that product is, how it works, the various features of that product. In this particular case, a gun for sticking sticky tape onto things, but I don't have any sticky tape on here, so I can't really demonstrate that. I could, of course, go over there and get some tape and put it on, but that would, no, I'm not going to do that. It's going to take too long. There are other occasions where you might want to make really big gestures, drawing us in, not the sort of gestures that you can make in the tiny little space that we are normally restricted to when we're using the webcam, which we're really close to. Sometimes you might want to do the really big gestures, but you may also want to get right up close to the microphone because there's a point that you want to make. Now, the problem with doing that is as you're moving forward and backward, away from the microphone, away from the desk, away from your webcam, is that the volume goes up and down and you begin to sound, as I say, like you're in a big echoey room, unless you are using some form of clip-on microphone. Now, the clip-on microphone that I'm using now, I will concede, is not the best quality. Before the meeting, a couple of people spoke about the fact that the quality on the mic was not as good as they are used to. But then again, that's because the microphone that I'm using is really quite small. It is literally a clip-on wireless microphone. Now, there are clip-on wired microphones, but the problem with clip-on wired microphones is that you remain tethered to the desk when you do that. So there are various options for clip-on wireless microphones. I have a particular favorite, and that is the Rode Wireless Go. That's not the one that I'm using today because, well, I'll explain why I'm not using it today in a moment. But let me, if I may, show you a little bit of information about the Rode Wireless. I need to make sure this will be this one here. I hope this is the one. Yes, it is. Okay, you can now all see the Amazon screen, I trust. Thumb up would be nice. Yep, you can see it. This is the Rode Go wireless microphone. Now, I love this microphone. This is actually the Rode Go 2, which is the latest iteration of it. And as you can see, it's $255 US. I actually just went to my American Amazon account and put in Rode Go, and this is what's come up. It's $255. It's a beautiful microphone. It will allow you up to 200 meters. That's an eighth of a mile under really good conditions, and the quality on it is exceptional. It can plug into your phone, it can plug into your laptop, it can plug into your desktop, it can be plugged into basically any device that you have, including microphones, for example. Now, the beauty of it is, as I say, that it is wireless. In this case, you can have 2 transmitters or microphones and 1 receiver, which is the 3rd unit there, but it is $250. There is, on the other hand, a somewhat cheaper option, and that is what I am using today. Now, what I did today was I did, again, a Google search, and I found, using standard Amazon search, wireless clip-on microphone. I'm going to show you some wireless clip-on microphones. I'm not recommending any specific product here because your mileage may vary, and the version that I'm using, I actually bought in Australia. But you'll see that there are wireless clip-on microphones starting at around the $15 mark. Some are a little more expensive, some are a little less expensive. Now, most of them have adapters for the iPhone, but some have adapters which go for the Android. Now, I actually would suggest going for the Android connection because it uses USB-C, and quite frankly, even the latest iPhones are going to have USB-C. They literally just plug into your phone, or if you use an adapter, they can plug into your wireless, into your laptop. The quality on them, as you can hear, is not perfect. But quite frankly, for $13 US, what are you expecting? The beauty of these is that you can take yourself away from the desk. You can go and make the big gestures. You can do all the things that you want to do when you want to stand and present. And you're not restricted to being right next to that little microphone in the webcam, or even if you've got the really nice desktop microphone. I use, for example, a Rode NT, which is, I love that microphone, or I have a Yeti Pro. I've got various microphones that I use for my business, but for an online meeting for $13, there's an option, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Graham. We hear you loud and clear. Appreciate it. Our second speaker for the evening, Joni Laidlaw, is working out of Engaging Humor, Level 1, Mastering Fundamentals. This is evaluation feedback, the first speech, which means that we'll probably hear it from her again sometime soon, and that could be a good thing. And her speech title, What Made Me This Way? Well, I don't know, Joni. Why don't you let us know? What made me this way, Joni Laidlaw?
For anybody who's ever received an email, a text, or anything from me, you know that this is definitely not me as a leader. Autocorrect is mean, and I still cannot spell. Let's just take a moment to think. Go with me to the bosses of Joni past. I can say that I have had a few of these. The micromanager. Okay, you can tell me what to do. You can tell me how to do it. Tell me what you want. You cannot do both. You cannot stress me out and keep changing it and expect me to want to do it. That makes no sense. But you know, the boss that was the absentee, I really didn't mind. When he would want to go get drunk, and he really didn't like me most of the time because I was the go-to for everybody, he would just go, here, you have all of the capabilities of a supervisor. If anything comes up, do this. And he would be gone. The night shifts were fun because I would not see him at all. Now there was the operator. Personally, I didn't mind this boss at all because you know what? He always had my favorite phrase, which was RFM. For those who don't know what that means, manual is the last word. Toastmasters is a professional organization, so I won't be able to say what the second one is. But if you're smart enough, I think everybody can put 2 and 2 together. There was the pontificator. Now, personally, I don't mind you speaking to yourself through me. I understand not everybody has that voice in their head, so it must be quiet and you have to talk out loud. But the voice in my head did fit on everybody. So if you need to do it out loud, could you do me a favor? Allow me to at least in one of my ears. Don't worry, I have a double attention span when listening. Listen to something else. You've said this 15 times. And no matter how philosophical you wax, I'm sorry, it's not debonair. You are losing me and you are boring me. And I really don't want to do this task anymore because you took all of my energy just to listen. Then there was the showboat, though. Wonderful in presentations, learn a lot about how to say what you did. But this person will throw you under any means of transportation when things aren't going their way. They'll throw you under the bus, the train, planes, trains, automobiles. It does not matter. They know how to throw you under a bus. But when it came time for praise and you did a good job, was that crickets? Couldn't hear a thing over the sound of how great they were, telling everybody how great they were with the job you did. Now there was a spin doctor. I love this boss, to be completely honest, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it. They'll give you some pointers to say it in this way. The problem being that the part that you missed out was the part that was going to get your immediate supervisor on your case, because that was the one thing that you were supposed to make sure that you imparted to everyone. This is more me. So I love coming across them. And I've had a pleaser boss. They made everyone feel so comfortable. There were donuts, there were cookies. They were the epitome of the pizza party boss. And even if the organization wasn't doing anything, you wanted to work for them because, you know what, at least you felt appreciated with what they did. Ask them to hold a fellow team member accountable, though. I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to be the bad guy. So I was always stuck having to be the bad guy. Well, say hello to the bad guy. Now there was the seagull. This boss, this boss would always appear quite debonair to everyone, but they would come in, mess on everyone, destroy all of the work that was there. Now, for those who know me, I am messy and I am not the cleaning lady. So I do not enjoy cleaning up after people. Every single time this boss would show up, I would irk because I knew, get the mop, get the bucket. Now, it might be metaphysically and in my mind and in a process, but come on. many times must I clean and fix the same thing over and over again? But at least that wasn't as bad as the person who would tell me what I would have to do with my life. No, I'm fine with giving you 9 to 5 and I've shared it. And you know what? If it goes both ways, if I can call in because something happened with my kid and I have to go, feel free to message me at 2 o'clock in the morning with a task. And if I'm up, I will answer you. But don't get it twisted that if I've worked for 8 hours, you believe that I'm not doing enough, even though the job was actually done 3 hours ago. And the person who are there for the extra 12 hours weren't actually doing anything. They were chatting. Sorry. Jamaican, they're talking to each other for the entire day. I got my job, half their job, plus a quarter of somebody else's job done. But I want to go home. I want to sleep. But I'm the bad guy. I should be dedicated to work. You know what, everybody? Let's come back to the present with me. Now, I know that this engaging humor doesn't offer what our leadership style is, but I took the quiz again just to know for the sake of this speech. And based on the last encounter that I had, I've changed. You see, before, I actually was the kind of person that was usually a coach. Now, I'm actually an affiliative leader. And I found that with all of the subsets of all of the over-evaluation of all of those wonderful bosses that I've had, ghost of bosses past, especially that one, it enhanced that though I'm a people pleaser, I will hold people accountable. And this is who I have become and who I am, maybe because of or in spite of what I've been through. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day.
All right. Thank you, Joni. Can we have a timers report, please, on our two speakers?
Absolutely. Graham spoke for 7:28 and Joni spoke for 7:25. Both qualified.
Fantastic. All right, so watch out for a link that will be posted in the chat to the voting tool. I did also share the magazine article I had on screen a few minutes ago, which is Julia Reed was a humorous writer who was the graduate of the Madeira School. And some of you might enjoy that, even if you are not a Southern woman, which I'm not. But she was quite a character. Now it's time for us to find out what kind of a character you are, because we have table topics coming up. And leading our table topic section will be our member, Kritika. Kritika, you're on.
Thank you, David. Here we are, 3 days to go to International Women's Day. Let's all inspire inclusion. The theme of 2024. A world-renowned feminist journalist and activist, Gloria Steinem, stated, "The story of women's struggle for equality belongs to no single feminist nor to any one organization, but to the collective efforts of all who care about human rights." Inspiring to inclusion is to work where we forge a better world. Here we are today in today's table topic session, where we are going to discuss about women who inspired you, or as a woman, how you have inspired. Let's jump into the session. I would like to call upon for this experienced member, Jim Barber, as my first contestant. Jim Barber, are you ready?
That depends on the question.
Say me a number between 1 to 15.
I beg your pardon?
Say me a number between 1 to 15.
This is the easiest table topics question I've ever had. 7.
Okay, here is your
Next.
question. Here is your question.
Oh,
What does gender parity mean to you? What does gender parity mean to you? Over to you.
with pleasure, Madam Topics Master. And I'm not an expert, so I'm hoping that I don't clobber myself with political correctness here. But personally, I like the term gender parity a lot more than the more common statement that women are equal to men. By saying that women are equal to men, they tend to imply women are identical to men because mathematically equal and identical are the same. And I would argue against that women are identical to men most wholeheartedly in every conceivable way. Women should have parity, getting back to the phrase that you asked about, gender parity. I believe that women should have every opportunity, every opportunity to fulfill their potential that a male does. Basically, male and female should not, when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to the opportunity to advance, there should be no differentiation in gender. It should be gender parity. That does not, again, mean equality. That does not mean equal, except in the eyes of the law. That's a different thing altogether. But I think women are incredibly special, incredibly different from men, and I cherish those differences. So I am not for women being the same as men, certainly not. I object to that in every possible sense. But gender equality, gender parity, I think is a magnificent concept. And frankly, I think it's way overdue. I'm looking forward to it being accepted completely by everybody worldwide. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Jim Barber. Siddharth, do we have a next women volunteer? Next women volunteer to participate in today's table topic session? Teresa.
Yep.
Yes, Teresa. Say me a number between 1 to 15 except 7.
9.
9. Okay, let's check what is there for you. Have you ever felt proud to be a woman? If so, when and why?
What a great question. The answer is yes, with a caveat. I participated in a program a couple years ago for an organization called Elevate, and I was selected as one of their speakers for National or International Women's Day. And one of the things that I talked about was the high cost of playing small. And I think that that's an important thing that I hear in the women's groups in general is they think of like the imposter syndrome is rampant as a part of the conversation. They often talk about the limitations that they have. And I really don't subscribe to that theory as much as I want to see exactly how far I can take whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And what I realize is that by subscribing to those theories that were in the common vernacular, I did pay a price. It delayed my growth in my career. It delayed my financial desires because I was buying the great shopping bag, even though I didn't care about the handbag. I thought that's what I needed to do. I did not spend my money wisely. I did not invest it wisely. I bought into everything that was happening in the women's magazines and the common things that we are told. And I think that we undermine ourselves. So when I have a friend of mine, her name is Tori, and she is a financial feminist. And that is when I became super proud to become a woman. I'm like, yes, we can own a lot of our own destiny. And it's so exciting to be a part of her community and see women making huge strides and taking control back of the narrative for their lives. So I'm super excited about that. Back to you.
I completely get your point, Teresa. I have also been to one of the debates that has happened on the imposter syndrome, and women are really proud to it. Apart from more nurtured skills like empathy and other things. Okay, thanks for your thoughts. Okay. Next, I would like to call upon here our guest, Josh Domingo. Josh, are you ready for today's table topic session?
I hope so.
Thank you. Please pick a number between 1 to 15 except 7 and 9.
Let's do 14.
14. Okay, here is your question. If you would wish to gift one superwoman, it might be your mother, sister, wife, or daughter, what would you gift them on a Women's Day?
To make sure that I understand the question, it's if I could give one gift to a superwoman, what would it be on the International Women's Day?
On International Women's Day, yes. What would be the gift and to whom would be gifted to?
I refuse to mansplain anything to this group. Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, and our table topics mistress, I am so excited for this question because I think one of the most wonderful things about this entire topic and conversation is the fact that we've come so far. Growing up where I did back in the South, I found a lot of times women were constantly overlooked for their skill sets and for the things they were able to do. In my world, the one person that I would buy something for is my secretary, because Liz Smiley is possibly the most valuable human being on the planet in my world. In fact, I don't know how to tie my shoes, Chatty Jim, at all without Liz Smiley in my world. I will say that one of the most valuable things that I've found in giving gifts to my secretary is to make sure that it's something that she's been asking for the entire year and not some sort of tool or something for her to do a task. I think this year she's just going to get a raise. That is a wonderful question, and I look forward to enjoying the rest of them.
It's wonderful hearing your answer. After all, table topics is all about expressive voice laced with debonair look and charm. And you did it wonderful. Okay, next, let's call upon our next speaker, the table topic speaker, our grammarian, Carolina. Are you ready for today's topic? Okay.
Yes. Do I have to choose a number? Number
Yes, of
3.
course. 3. Okay, here is your question. How will you empower a woman, a peer woman? How will you empower?
How do I empower women? Oof. Thank you for the question. I have to say that I work in a world full of men because I work in mining and I work in technology. Mining is a world full of men, and technology, I would say that is a world full of men. And there are some women working with me, and sometimes they feel a little bit intimidated, I would say. And the way I try to empower them is to ask them to talk. Sometimes it's very difficult when you are in a room full of men to talk, to say your truth, or to say your opinions, or maybe to talk about something that is disturbing your peace of mind, your peace, or Or maybe you have some ideas and you're afraid to share your ideas with a room full of men because they are going to tell that maybe your ideas are dumb or something like that. And the way that I try to empower the women of my team is to tell them you have to speak, you have to share your ideas. And it doesn't matter if they are good ideas or bad ones, but are the things that you are thinking about. And there's no bad idea because everything is going to be useful at the end of the journey of technology, because we are innovating in a mining world, and that's difficult. And as women, I say that we have to learn to talk and to make that men respect our voice when we are talking in meetings. Back to you.
Thank you, Carolina. Yes, we are supposed to open ourselves, like we are supposed to speak out. Okay, thanks for your wonderful thoughts. Next, why don't we have few gentlemen volunteering? Can we have few gentlemen who are volunteering today? Nobody? Yeah, Graham, here we are. Okay. Yeah, Graham, please pick a number between 1 to 15, except 3, 7, 9, and 14.
Have to be 1.
Okay. Here is your question. Who is the most inspiring woman you have ever met? Who is the most inspiring woman you have ever met? Over.
Madam Topics Master, that's a how long is a piece of string question. It would be unwise of me to answer anything other than my wife, but she can't hear me, so I don't have to. But she is, in fact, one of the genuinely most inspiring people that I've ever met. There's my mother, who is, for good or ill, a large part of who I am. She inspired with her wit, but she also inspired with her passive-aggressive ability to make us do what she wanted without actually saying what she wanted. Now, that's a skill that I have not yet learned. There are women that I have worked with who have been genuinely inspiring. Some of the best journalists that I've ever worked with have been women. And I'm actually going to talk instead of this specifically, but about a question that you asked earlier. And that was, what do you do to empower women? Which was a question that was given to Carolina. And my answer to that is nothing. That's not my job. My job is to provide the women that I am training, for example, as the upcoming generation of journalists, give them the tools that they need, and then get out of their way, because they are so much stronger, so much better than I was at their age. I don't need to empower women. They inspire me because millennials are just amazing. They don't take any crap from anybody, and they inspire me every time. Madam Topics Master.
Thanks for the wonderful answer. Yes, millennials are quite amazing. They are our teachers these days. Okay, how are we going by time? Toastmaster David, are we good with moving forward with few more table topics?
Let's say, yes, we could do 2 more.
Okay,
Good luck.
okay, thank you. Fine. So let's have a wonderful women again. Are there any volunteers? Sherry. Okay. Please pick a number between 1 to 15, except 3, 7, 9, 14, and 1.
2.
2. Your question here is, who is the most inspiring women that you can think of?
Good evening, good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I'm going to have to say the most inspiring person that I've ever known in my entire life was my mother. She's no longer with us, but she played a very significant role in my life, right? She was the person who taught me how to be a woman, who showed me what I needed to do to be successful in this life. And she did it all in a very short period of time. I feel that my mother passed away at an early age. She was 71. And of course, I was a young person at that time. And I just really feel that I didn't get to experience the best of her, because I know that there's so many more things she could have taught me. She missed out on so many milestones in my life, which was disappointing to me, but you know, that's just part of life. My mother was always upbeat, positive. She was a travel agent who felt that people should experience life outside of their four walls. And she was the one that showed her friends and family that traveling is a wonderful thing, just to have the experience of seeing what's going on in the world. And I think everyone appreciated that about her, because she took them to places they probably would have never gone, cruises, Mediterranean, just so many different places. And I know that there are so many different places that she would have wanted to go to, but just never had the opportunity. So I have to say, although I miss her so much, my mother was my inspiration. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
So touching, Sherry. I am a single parent and I'm working towards my daughter to speak like you. Okay. So here we are. Next, we can pick one wonderful gentleman. Any volunteers? Andre. Okay, here we are. Andre, please pick a number between 1 to 15.
Any number?
Any number, yes?
Between 1 to 15. Then I would like to pick 15.
15, okay. Here is your question. According to you, what quality do you think that makes a woman a superwoman? According to you, what do you think? What quality do you think that makes a woman a superwoman?
Well, thank you very much for this question, Madam Table Topics Master. What a wonderful question to ask. Well, I'll be honest, there is no one quality that I could pull out that would determine, I would make a woman a superwoman. There are a number of qualities that we other men, we will never understand and possess. Just give you a demonstration about, from what I've heard about women's ability to multitask. Is something incomprehensible. Even though they said there is no such thing as multitasking, however it is. I know, I've seen it many times, and it's true. But us, as men, we like to keep all our thoughts in one big drawer. If you imagine a chest of drawers, there are many drawers in there. But when we think, we open one, we put something in, and then we put it back. However, women can have many drawers open and closed, and they know exactly what inside of every single drawer. So that ability to multitask and know exactly where things are, that's amazing. For example, my daughter, she knows exactly where things in our fridge. She is 16, and sometimes she tells me, look, Dad, there is the butter on a second shelf in the left-hand corner. And it is there. And I'm just being myself, just looking through the fridge. I can't find it until I get that little knock. At the same time, if I had to pick one quality that I would a superwoman to possess, it's just probably to tell us men how to multitask. I just want to learn it. Probably one day I'll give it a go. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
That is amazing, Angie. Amazing thoughts. So I would like to wrap up the table topic session with the last one, closing with a women's note. Any women volunteer? Mariam, why don't you go for one?
Okay,
Okay, please pick a number. Please pick a number for me between 1 to 15.
surprise me.
Okay, great. This is a question for you. Here is your question. What do you consider a woman acknowledges the tough times? What do you consider how a woman acknowledges a tough time?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay.
How does she acknowledges a tough time?
How does a woman acknowledges a tough time?
Well, women are all different. Everyone doesn't do it the same way. And I've seen women acknowledge tough times with strength and, toughness. And I've also seen women who fall apart. So I'll give you what I think about a tough time to give you my perspective. So when I have a tough time, I read a book back in 2007. I was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm. And I was pretty upset by that fact and I'm pretty afraid when I was diagnosed with that. And somebody gave me a book called The Gift of Faith. And the basic premise of the book was that in every bad thing or every challenge that you face in your life, there is a gift. And it totally changed my perspective on how I looked at tough situations. Because rather than sit and have the victim mentality of poor little me, I started looking at it and saying, okay, well, what could I learn from this situation? And once I did that, I really started gleaning like very positive things from very negative situations. So that's how I do it. I take a situation and rather than feel bad about whatever's happening, I try to look for the gift inside. And, I've had a lot of things go wrong in my life. I've had a lot of health challenges, believe me. And every single time I can find good things within those tough times. So that's how I do it. Back to you, Kritika.
Thank you, Mariam. So we are in line with the meeting's theme. We function in disaster, but finish in style. Thus, there we are. Over to you, David.
All right, let's ask for a timers report. Dr. Byrne, it also helps to remind everybody who spoke too.
All right, David, we have everybody met time, so that's good. We started off with Jim Barber at 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Trace was 153, Josh was 152, Caroline 155, Graham 217, Sherry 206, Andre 215, and Marianne 215.
All right. Thank you to all our speakers and thank you to our table topics mistress who involved almost everybody here. So that was great. Very well done. Which means it's time to move on to the general evaluation portion of our meeting. No, I don't have to organize that because I've got people. I've got Marianne Grady as our general evaluator will lead that portion of the meeting. Marianne.
Well, hello again, I'm back. And you thought you got rid of me, but no, I'm here. I'm Marianne Grady, will be leading the general evaluation portion of this meeting. And evaluation is where we really learn the most in these meetings. So even if, say David is getting an evaluation, I still learn when I hear the evaluation that he receives. So it's a great time to listen carefully because we have some very skilled evaluators. And I'll get right to it with our first evaluator, who is Andre Smolenko, and he'll be evaluating Graham Cairns' speech. Please welcome Andre.
Thank you very much, Marianne. My fellow online presenters, guests, and most importantly, Graham. Well, your speech on microphones for online meeting did exactly what it said on the tin. Even though you had to expand your speech from 3 minutes to make it 5 to 7 minutes, you did it masterfully. You could tell that you're an experienced presenter and you shared some, in my view, really valuable tips, especially on the cheaper versions of microphones and more advanced, more expensive versions. Not only you talked about that, you demonstrate without your virtual background how that works. You made your point really, really clear. So when you have a clip-on microphone, you can use the space of the room available. This is really important for online meetings. And personally, I was really curious to see what's behind your background. So I was drawn into that. And the way you started your presentation with 2 really powerful, engaging questions that made all the audience participate. So we were all involved in your speech. Then really, really professionally, you could tell that you have salesmanship in you and in an extremely well done standards. You demonstrated the actual things, how it can be done. Then you, more than that, you share screen with some of the well-prepared exhibits of microphones and gave us the prices, gave us the options, and you brought your presentation skills into it as well. So really well-crafted and properly done speech. At the same time, it's something I would like to know. I would like to see the actual difference between the cheaper microphone and the more expensive one. I know it's not probably technically that easy to do. However, a demonstration would make us feel and hear that $250 and $15 is just one of those things. And number 2, I would like you to keep the intrigue going about, for example, asking the audience question about how much do you think this little microphone is? Can you put comments into the chat box right at the beginning of it? And then when you're about to wrap up, you could tell us, look, this microphone is, say, $15 or $16, and we'll see whoever guessed it right. Then I think we would all want to participate a bit more. And overall, it's not easy to make any recommendation to Graham's speeches. Anyways, I've did a number. Overall, flawless speech with practical tips, advice about different types of microphones for the online meetings, really good summary, and just with few points of recommendation. I would love to hear Graham speak more on the more technical things. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well, thank you to our debonair evaluator, Mr. Smolenko. Well done, as always. And our next evaluator is Ms. Sunny Fridge, and she will be evaluating Ms. Joni-Renee Laidlaw speech tonight. So please put your hands together for Sunny.
What made me this way? That's the question Joni asked, and I imagine she wanted us to find out. Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Joni, you did something special with humor. You were doing a humor path, which is my weakness. I love the way that you seem to tackle it with your own humor. And what I learned from you is that you are able to use vocal variety very much to help with your humor, using your volume to go up, and you're using a bit of pausing as you're showing your graphics, which also was a great technique while you were telling us about the bosses of Joni past. You gave a lot of bosses. Thank God for those graphics. I heard you talk about the pontificator, the showboat, the spin doctor, the pleaser, and the seagull. So what could Joni have done to make her speech better? Well, one thing that I could suggest is your green screen. Because you also had graphics that you were trying to enhance your message, I felt that it was a little bit of a distraction because your hair kept bobbing in and out because you're in a very close-up part of the screen. And my suggestion would be perhaps lose the green screen, and that way we could enjoy those great graphics a lot better. Another recommendation that I would have for you, Joni, is I got lost. I got a little bit lost, but I think you helped me find my way back as we talked about what made you this way. And what I would suggest is that within your story structure, perhaps you could set it up because you started right away with anybody who knows me or everybody who knows me. But as you know, we have a few guests. They know nothing about Joni. So perhaps you could have given us a little bit of information that you were going to share with us about these bosses. And then I saw that you went into the leadership style, and I finally connected the dots as you took us from your ghost of Joni past. Then you took us into the present, and you told us about a style that I didn't even know was a style, affiliative. That was a very debonair move, if I do say so myself. So overall, this was a really fun speech because you have a way, a smile as well, that helps us stay engaged with your speech. You had good eye contact as well, making friends with the lens, always important. So keep up the great work. Try to maybe incorporate the losing the green screen. I know that's like your security blanket, but try it. You might like it. That way we can enjoy those graphics. And at the very end, maybe give a call to action, because it's also about the audience. What do you want them to think, feel, or do about leadership? Maybe you could have thrown in another question just to tie it back in about what made you this way. Maybe you could have asked us something in the chat. Do this, and no matter what your title was, if you do these things and help by giving a call to action, you'll be able to show everyone what made you this way, as well as who's the boss when it comes to speeches. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Loved your evaluation tonight, Sunny. Thank you very much. Now, as we all know, there is a whole team of people who evaluate. Those were our evaluators for our prepared speeches. But I'm going to call first our timer, Miss Dr. Andrew Byrne. Andy, can you tell us if everybody was on time and let us know, what the times were?
We have one disqualification on time, and that goes to Sunny. She spoke for 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Her time bracket for evaluation was 2 to 3 minutes. Everybody else was within time. The other one, Andrea, spoke for 2:18.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. Now, Sunny, let's try and keep it on time. You're the next evaluator, our counter.
That's hilarious because I thought Graham was the timer and I kept saying, where is my red or my green? That is hilarious. Okay, so I'm not sure where the timer went on my screen. I just wanted to look at Joni, so I must have pushed my timer out of the way. In any case, here's my report. David Carr had 4 uhs, 1 so, and an and. Carolina had 2 uhs, 4 ands. Graham had 1 a so, 4 ands, 3 buts, 2 nows, and a double clutch they. Kartika had an and a so. Marianne, you had 4 uhs, 2 so's, 3 ands, 1 like, and a Andy Smolenko, 2 uhs, 3 ands. And Andrew Byrne, Dr. Byrne, you had 4 uhs, 1 so. Sherry Blake, 1 so. And 1 and. I'm sure I had a few filler words. This was not the smartest choice for me to be a counter and a speech evaluator. But in any case, that's all I have for you. Back to you.
Terrific report. Thank you very much. Next up, we have our grammarian, and tonight that is Carolina Ramirez.
Congratulations to those who use the word of the day, the Venere, Joni, David, Marianne, Sunny. And regarding grammar, I don't want to be self-referential, but I caught 2 errors in my grammar. The first, I wanted to say silly questions, and I said dumb questions. And I said you could vote for your favorite at the beginning of the meeting, and I wanted to say you can vote for your favorite, and that's all I could catch. Back to you, Miss GE.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. Now, our watcher and chat monitor are taken over by Mr. Split Personality, Mr. Jim Barber. You can give us both of your reports, Jim.
I'll be happy to, Madam General Evaluator. As the chat monitor, I will note that Graham posted some wireless microphones that are available on Amazon so that we can check those out. Andre reminded us where the Online Presenters YouTube channel is found and where we can find the replays of tonight's meeting and other meetings. David gave a link to the Grace Under Pressure reference that he gave earlier in the meeting. Josh accepted a compliment on behalf of all millennials. Thank you, Josh. And let's see. That was it. I wanted to remind everybody these are good things. You're not wasting electrons. They're not an endangered species. Go to the bottom of the chat, click on the 3 dots, and you'll be able to save the chat so that you can refer back to it later. Now, as the watcher this evening, Teresa, Sunny, and Marianne all had the Toastmasters 100th anniversary background. Looked very, very nice, very appropriate. I'm too late to mention this as the word of the day, but Carolina looked very debonair in her beret this evening. And let's see, Sherry. Oh, Sherry, I like your background. She has take a look at it now. It's a simple but patterned background. The pattern makes it interesting. It's not just a plain background, but it's not distracting by having a lot of things going on back there. I like the pattern. I'm going to have to use that sometime. I like that. That's my report, Madam GE.
Well, thanks, Jim. And I just have to ask you, you weren't saying that Carolina looks like a man, were you?
I would never make that mistake.
Just messing with you there. Okay, so let's see. I think it's time for my report. So we started close to on time. The speeches were informative and entertaining. Table topics were really in line with the upcoming International Women's Day, and they were very thoughtful. So wonderful job, Krithika. Now, evaluations, what I liked about them tonight was they both had actionable tips. And when you're giving an evaluation, that really is like the roadmap to improvement. So when you can offer tips to somebody, that's very helpful. So well done. David, as Toastmaster, you opened the curtain and let us see some of the bad things behind there. As Master of Ceremonies, you're supposed to make it look all smooth. And you told us about this, no speaker. You told us about this. It's supposed to just look smooth when you do it. So remember, don't share a little too much with the audience, but great job tonight. And let's see. With that, I will pass it back to you to call upon our vote counter. Mr. President, Mr. Toastmaster, and all of those other things that you do for us.
Yes, let's hear from our vote counter. That's a good idea. Carolina, there's some winners.
My turn.
Yeah.
Please, drums for the best evaluator. Andre. Drums for the best table topics speaker. Marianne Grady. Drums for the best speaker. Joni. Congratulations to the winners. Back to you, Mr. President.
All right. I'd actually like to hand it off to Andre to lead a little bit of conversation with our guests. And I think he may be trying to capture some of this for our demo reel and show how impressed people are when they come to online presenters, because you're supposed to be impressed. Even though Marianne called me out on revealing the functioning and disaster part of our meeting as well. But Andre.
Well, thank you, David. I'll just get straight to the point. As you aware, dear guests, that all our online presenters meetings are recorded for our marketing and training purposes as well. So you will be able to see yourself speak, present online on our YouTube channel. And as the Vice President of Public Relations, I just want to know, aren't we terrific? Or is there anything we can improve? Or what was your impression of tonight's meeting? And I would like to start out with Josh. Josh, please tell us. We want to know. I want to know what you think anyways.
Thank you, Andrew. I am blown away. The quality of these speeches were incredible. Katara, those questions you asked were so tricky. I really felt challenged, and that is not something you can say at every Toastmaster club. Sometimes they simply just make it easy and give softballs. I really think that this club has something special, and I'm taking away a lot of ideas for my own club. Thank you very much for everything tonight. I will probably be joining you again in the future.
Oh, well, brilliant. Am I right in saying that Tressa invited you today, and especially for something in particular, or what was that?
I will say that I am on a journey to find some new ideas for our Zoom Toastmasters Club, and Tressa and I have now gone to 2 clubs together. It has become a wonderful journey flying through the internet with her.
Well, thanks for sharing, Josh. By the way, your microphone quality is superb. I could hear that. And Sherry, just would like to ask you as well, how do you feel about tonight's meeting? And is there anything we could perhaps improve on?
Thank you so much for that question. No, I think this was a great meeting. I feel like, you know, this club is an advanced club, and you guys meet all of my expectations. The speeches are wonderful, the table topics. I think this is just a superb club. And I thought that the table topics this evening, I agree with Josh, they were challenging. And I like when there's challenging questions that make me kind of pause to figure out what my answer is, as opposed to having an easy question. So thank you so much for that. I think the meeting was great, and I can't wait to join.
I can't wait for you to join as well, Sherry. Absolutely. You have my votes. You can live with that for sure. Thank you. And so we have one more guest, Amitesh. You already been at our meetings a number of times. I think
Yes.
it's 3rd or 4th. So what do you think?
Yeah, it was a very good meeting. I think this is a very good advanced club, which I am eligible to join, but unfortunately my levels are not such that I can work on my own, and I need a lot of work to be done on my with a mentor. So yeah, but I'll do like visiting your club always.
So
Thank
if
you.
you had to pick one thing out of this meeting that you can take home with you, what would that be?
I think the level of speakers and the role players you guys have, and today the table topics session was also quite um, creative and productive. So this is the takeaway I take from today's meeting.
Well, thank you, Mitesh. Hopefully
Thank
I'll
you.
see you on Monday, in 1 week's time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Whenever I am available, I will join. Thank you.
Brilliant. Back to you, David.
All right, wonderful. I'm going to stop the recording. So good night, recording people.